Past perfect tense. The 12 verb tenses in the English language are the simple present, simple past, simple future, present perfect, past perfect, future perfect, present progressive, past progressive, future progressive, present perfect progressive, past perfect progressive, and future perfect progressive. This lesson will talk about past perfect. In making a past perfect statement, we follow the pattern subject plus had plus main verb in past participle. We use past perfect to talk about things that had happened before another action in the past. Examples: she had been my friend before she transferred to another school. In this sentence, there are two events that happened in the past. Let's try to break them down. This will be the present, or the moment of speaking, and the two past events. The first past event is, she was my friend. The second one, she transferred to another school. But since we talk about events that happened before another event, then we talk about this. This is now our past perfect. That's why we resulted to the sentence, she had been my friend before she transferred to another school. The word before indicates that something happened before another. Been is the past participle of the verb was. Another example: Grandpa had lived in this house before he decided to sell it. The two past events in this sentence are, Grandpa lived in this house, and he decided to sell it. Grandpa lived in this house is our past perfect. That's why our sentence is, Grandpa had lived in this house before he decided to sell it. Next example: by the time his mom arrived home, he had already fallen asleep. In this sentence, although the event that his mom arrived home comes first, it is understandable that he fell asleep first and his mom arrived home after. The last example: I had a baby before I entered college. You may be wondering why there are two heads in this sentence. Let's try to break this sentence down again. The present and the two past events. The first event is, I had a baby, and the second one, I entered college. I had a baby is our past perfect because it happened before I entered college. Had is the main verb. Its past participle is still the same, had. So when we change it into past perfect, it will become, I had a baby. I plus had plus another had as the main verb. Making a negative sentence is just simple. We only change had into hadn't or had not. So the pattern will now be subject plus hadn't or had not plus verb in past participle. Examples: she had been my friend before she transferred to another school. She hadn't been my friend before she transferred to another school. Grandpa had lived in this house before he decided to sell it. Grandpa hadn't lived in this house before he decided to sell it. For the question, the pattern is had plus subject plus verb in past participle. Examples: she had been my friend before she transferred to another school. Had she been my friend before she transferred to another school? Grandpa had lived in this house before he decided to sell it. Had Grandpa lived in this house before he decided to sell it? For our exercise, Join the two past simple sentences or clauses and make positive and negative statements and questions in past perfect. The first sentence would be the past perfect. Number 1. Matthew studied music and he became famous. The correct positive statement should be Matthew had studied music before he became famous. The negative sentence is Matthew hadn't studied music before he became famous. And the question is, had Matthew studied music before he became famous? The second one, our teacher was angry, and the principal pacified her. The correct positive statement is, our teacher had been angry before the principal pacified her. The negative sentence is, our teacher hadn't been angry before the principal pacified her. And the question is, had our teacher been angry before the principal pacified her? The next one, the meeting was already finished, and by the time we arrived. The correct positive statement is, the meeting had been finished by the time we arrived. The negative sentence is, the meeting hadn't been finished by the time we arrived. And the question is, had the meeting been finished by the time we arrived? Next, the wind blew the papers away, and he got them. The correct positive statement is, the wind had blown the papers away before he got them. The negative statement is, the wind hadn't blown the papers away before he got them. And the question is, had the wind blown the papers away before he got them? The last one, Uncle Mike was gone, and I was born. The correct positive statement is, Uncle Mike had been gone before I was born. The negative statement is, Uncle Mike hadn't been gone before I was born. And the question is, had Uncle Mike been gone before I was born? Did you get it right?